One of the accusations that's often leveled against the book of Ecclesiastes is that actually it's just a really depressing book. That you read it and you come away thinking, man, life is just awful and it's never going to be any better. So just kind of make the best of it that you can. And I think that's actually to miss the point of Ecclesiastes completely. I mean, there are depressing bits in it. I mean, let's make no mistakes about that. There are some pretty pessimistic passages, including the one that we're looking at today, the first sort of 11 verses of chapter 1. But I think Solomon here, don't forget what Solomon's doing. He's laying out the mistakes that he's made. He's saying, like, this is the way I lived. This is the way I used to think. This is the way that I used to engage with the world. And he's warning us about that. It's not supposed to be attractive and inviting. You're not supposed to get to the end of those passages and go, oh man, that's amazing. I'd love to live like that. His whole point is, no, don't live like this. This was a mistake. All right, now what Solomon's doing in Ecclesiastes is he is alternating between two perspectives on life. And one of those perspectives is captured by the phrase in Ecclesiastes, the phrase under the sun. That there is a way of living life here that is under the sun. And actually, it's the way most people live. In fact, it's the way that the overwhelming majority of people live. So many people live like this that it's really easy to think, okay, that's normal, okay? That's the natural way to live. And if you were to try to live in a different way, that would somehow be kind of freaky or abnormal. But the whole idea of living under the sun is this notion that you are living within the confines, within the horizons of this age, that you're living without reference to anything beyond the borders of this age or this world. That's how Solomon had lived. He'd made all his decisions about how he spent his life, how he invested his resources, how he used his intellect and his wisdom, and his position. All his decisions were based on, well, how is this going to affect my life here and now? How is this going to benefit me right here, right now? How is this going to fulfill me? How is this going to bring enjoyment? How is this going to bring comfort to life in this age, to life under the sun? And now you have Solomon at the end of his life, and death is impending. It's about to take him from everything that he's lived for, everything he's worked for, everything he's invested in, everything that his identity and his purpose has been wrapped up in. And he's looking back on it all now, as it were, under the shadow of death and thinking, man, that's meaningless. It's all rendered pointless, radically undermined by the fact that I'm about to die and leave it all behind, and I've got no idea what's going to happen to any of this when I'm gone. Now, in a way, why is that a problem? There's a lot of people who'd be like, well, yeah, that's pretty much the way the world is. So make the most of it, enjoy it, get everything out of it you can. The person who dies with the most toys wins, right? Well, Solomon's like, no, I'm not sure that is the way the game is played. I'm not sure that is the way the world is. Actually, this world is cursed. Right? One of the great early Christian leaders, the Apostle Paul, teaches us about this in Romans 8, that God has actually put this world under a curse. And if you live in a way that is completely bound up with this world, this cursed, fallen world, without reference to anything outside of it or beyond it, then actually, well, it's futile, utterly futile. It's like if you had a house that you knew was going to be demolished, but you just spent loads of time and loads of money, like renovating this house, really doing it up. Like, here's the thing: you could create something that's really beautiful, and you could be really fulfilled as you do it. You could take real satisfaction in the work that you've been doing, and real delight in the finished product. But at the end of the day, it's wasted because that house is demolished. It's gone. Everything that you've done is just ruined. It's rubbish. And Solomon's saying, look, the first step to wisdom is to realize that's the nature of this world, and that everything done within the horizons of this world, and without reference to the world to come, is, in the final analysis, futile. No matter how much you enjoy it, no matter what a thing of beauty you might create, no matter how fulfilling or fun it is, no matter how well it has been done, no matter how good its effects, this world, everything in it is passing away. It will be demolished. And that's why Ecclesiastes starts the way it does, from the point of view of someone who is living as though trapped in this age. Even though, like Solomon, even though, the guy's a Christian, but in a sense he hasn't allowed his Christianity to lift his gaze above the horizons of this age. His head is down, and he's living for this world, for this age. Is everything he's investing, the treasure that he's laying up is all here, right? And Solomon's just saying, like, I'm looking back on that now and thinking, that was a waste of time. That was meaningless. That was futile. And he wants to say, look, you live like that. It's a frustrating life to live. It's a life spent in wearying, monotonous toil, day after day, doing it and redoing it, laboring, but never having enough. You will be frustrated at the end of it all. And it's not just a frustrating life, it's a futile life. Hurrying there and back again, going round in circles, always in motion, but never actually getting anywhere, never making progress, never really changing anything. That's when you read through Ecclesiastes 1 verses 3 to 11. That's the sense of just stuff goes round and round and round, but it never progresses, it never goes anywhere, it never fills. Solomon said, look, I get that now. That's a picture for the way the whole of this age is. And if you live for that, then you will have a futile life. You end up with unsatisfied ambitions and unfulfilled longings. As he says, the eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. So, it'll be a frustrating life, it's a futile life, and perhaps worst of all, it'll be a forgotten life. See, right at the end of our passage, verse 11, no one remembers the former generations. Even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them. We all start off thinking, man, we're going to make a real impact on the world. Things are going to be different because we're here. We'll make a name for ourselves. And somewhere along the road, we just realize that's just not going to happen. Even if we are famous for a period, our name, like everyone else's, eventually will simply be forgotten. It's frustrating, it's futile, it's a forgotten life. And it's all just too wearying to put into words. That's what Solomon says. And there's something in us that really resonates with this. People talk about being on the treadmill. They talk about being in the rat race. They talk about like being on a hamster wheel, don't they? Just going round and round and round, never actually making progress. But Solomon wants us to know that, there is another way. There's a different perspective. There's a different way to live. And to discover that is the beginning of wisdom. You see, what Solomon wants us to understand is there's another sun that we can live under.